Almighty God, who in thy infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of rulers and councils for the welfare of society and the just government of man, we beseech thee to behold with thy abundant favor as thy servant whom thou hast been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in the Commonwealth of Dominica. Let thy blessing descend upon us here in this Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in thy presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote thy honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests thou hast committed to our church, all which we ask in the name and for the sake of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Mr. Speaker, I see that you have a new coat of arms above your head, but I am not sure this is a parrot. This look more like local dogs to me. So we have to add something to it. So that's the original parrot. Mr. Speaker, I hope that the other paper be adopted as circulated. No, that's it.
Mr. James.
Suspension of standing orders.
Insofar as we are meeting under the provisions attached to standing orders 11.3, for those of you who have the standing orders, you can refer. I'm not going to go in details. The House is informed that the standing orders 9.2, 28, 29.1, and 32, as it relates to the minutes of the proceedings for the last meeting, notice of motion, form of notice, and the dispensing with notice are suspended. So let's proceed to the order paper.
Adoption of the order paper.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the order paper be adopted.
Seconded, Mr. Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that the order paper be adopted as circulated. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Obituary and congratulatory remarks.
Just received some correspondence from 9 honorable members seeking permission to be absent as follows. In regards to out of state on official duty, Honorable Kozia Frederick; out of state, Honorable Melissa Poponskerry, Honorable Miriam Blanchard, Senator Lauren Henderson Reed, Senator Laurie Victor. In regards to dealing with urgent matters, personal matters, Honorable Greta Roberts, Honorable Kasani Laville, Honorable Dennis Charles Pemberton, and Senator Shalikia Vidal. And also I received a note early this morning there that Honorable Dr. Cassandra Williams is dealing with an urgent family matter, so she might be late. Oh, Honorable Pemberton made it, so we withdraw the statement, Honorable Pemberton. So permission is granted to all the honorable members who have requested permission to be absent, just informing members that it's not out of state. You have to ask, request permission, because if you just inform, I will not give permission. So let's proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice that at a later stage of the proceedings, I will be taking all stages of the bill shortly entitled Registration of Electors Amendment Act 2025, standing in the name of the Honourable Prime Minister and Minister for Investment and Governance on the order paper.
Statement by Minister. Introduction of bills.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the bill shortly entitled Registration of Electors Amendment Registration of Electors Amendment Act 2025 be read a first time.
Registration of Electors Amendment Act 2025.
The bill has been read the first time.
Public business, government business motion, second and third reading of bills.
Mr. Speaker, I move the second reading of the bill shortly entitled Registration of Electors Amendment Act 2025.
Seconded, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, we are here today for what I anticipate will be a short meeting of this Honourable House to take another step along the winding road of the electoral modernisation process in Dominica. Mr. Speaker, before the House today is the Registration of Electors Amendment Act, Bill 2025. As stated in its long title, this bill seeks to amend the Registration of Electors Act number 1 of 2025. In particular, Mr. Speaker, the bill will amend Section 50, subsection 1 of the Registration of Electors Act in relation to the confirmation period and its commencement date. I will shortly elaborate on this, Mr. Speaker. As will be recalled by members of the public who have been following the electoral modernization journey, on the 19th of March 2025, this Honourable House debated and passed 3 very important electoral legislation. 1, the House of Assembly Elections Act, number 2 of 2025. 2, the Electoral Commission Act, number 3 of 2025. And last, but by no means least, the Act we are now amending, that is the Registration of Electors Act, number 1 of 2025. Mr. Speaker, the Registration of Electors Act introduced a new feature to our electoral process to assist with ensuring that the Register of Electors is as accurate as is reasonably possible and contains the names and only those names of people who are lawfully entitled to be on it. In other words, Mr. Speaker, it provides a mechanism through which the Electoral Commission and the Electoral Office are able to ensure that the electoral register, or as it is referred to colloquially, the list, is cleansed or not bloated with the names of the deceased or others not entitled to be on it. The confirmation process is a critical component of the electoral modernization process, in that apart from providing a cleansing mechanism, it, among other things, provides a simple and seamless process through which a voter, once duly registered, is able to re-establish his or her entitlement to remain registered. Section 50, subsection 1 of the Registration of Electors Act, number 1 of 2025, provided for a 60-day declaration period, during which the Electoral Commission was obligated to declare the confirmation period. That is, the period during which every voter whose name is on the Register of Electors and is desirous of remaining registered must confirm his or her desire and entitlement in order to prevent his or her name from being removed from the register. The current September 1st, 2025 to August 31st, 2026 confirmation period was declared by the Electoral Commission through Statutory Rule and Order SRO number 16 of 2025. However, Mr. Speaker, the Electoral Commission has advised that the current September 1st commencement date is no longer feasible, and the Commission has therefore decided to revise the timetable for the commencement of the confirmation process. As a consequence, Mr. Speaker, of the current commencement date no longer being feasible, it has become necessary to return to this Honourable House to secure for the Commission the lawful authority to alter the current commencement date and substitute an alternative commencement date. Specifically, Mr. Speaker, this bill seeks to amend Section 50, subsection 1 of the Registration of Electors Act to provide the Electoral Commission with the unambiguous legislative authority to alter the commencement date of the confirmation period. It is my understanding, Mr. Speaker, that the Commission will, by order, shortly declare a new commencement date and confirmation period. It is my understanding that this will be from October of 2025 to October of 2026, but that remains subject to the order of the Commission to bring this into formal existence. Mr. Speaker, I am advised that the Commission is satisfied that it has the necessary equipment and resources to complete the outstanding requirements to enable commencement of the confirmation process and the other aspects. Speaker, I commend the Registration of Electors Amendment Bill 2025 to this Honourable House.
The bill is before the House for debate. Yes, Senator Parrish, you are recognized. You may proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker, other parliamentary colleagues. Mr. Speaker, permit me to refer to some
Permission granted.
on this device. You know, it's in an emergency setting, so I didn't have time to print. So, thank you. Mr. Speaker, as the Attorney General mentioned, hopefully this sitting will be short. We're not going to spend a lot of time. Obviously, what we're doing here is important, and any efforts to find ways to improve and to modernize our electoral system and to achieve true reformation is welcome and supported, obviously, by all sides. But Mr. Speaker, as a responsible parliamentarian, I must take the opportunity to add a few concerns and recommendations that I hope obviously can be adopted and allow us to improve the electoral system that we seek to reform. Mr. Speaker, on the confirmation period, in clause 51, citizens are going to be required to confirm their registration on the register, and to ensure that that is done properly, we have stipulated an extended period of time, 12 months in the first instance and to 15 if the Commission so requires. However, Mr. Speaker, there's been a lot of talk, and I know that this may have been addressed in some cases, but I think this is the best place to address it, and I tabled that a few sittings ago, but I'd like to table it again, Mr. Speaker, because there's a lot of ants going around that, you know, an election can be called and the Prime Minister has the constitutional authority to dissolve the Parliament and he can do that at any time. I was suggesting that we are irresponsible here, right? And he does. That is true, he does. That is not in question at all. But I think to ensure that we demonstrate true commitment to the process. Because, Mr. Speaker, it is unfair to allow people to believe that in the middle of a process that we have just embarked on, that we would be irresponsible enough to call an election or allow an election to be called in the middle of the process.
Well, member, I'm not seeing the relevance of the amendment to election.
Speaker, but if you give me a chance, I'll get to the relevance.
Huh?
The relevance of it, Mr. Speaker, is to give...
No, because the bill, the
The laws.
amendment of the bill, so I'm not seeing the connection
Yeah.
or the relevance.
Of course it has relevance, Mr. Speaker. Section 51, right?
Yeah, but we're not debating the Constitution
No, we're not
and the
debating
right of the Prime
Constitution,
Minister
Mr.
to call
Speaker. We're not
election
debating the Constitution at all.
vis-a-vis the bill. That's not the
That is
debate.
totally understood.
Yeah, that's not the debate. So I would advise you to focus on the debate in regards to the amendment to the bill. So your observations or your comments should be about amendments or the amendment. Yeah. But not about election and all.
Okay, Mr. Speaker. So we shouldn't, so you would like me to move on from talking about ensuring that we encourage people to pay attention to the confirmation period, to look at the SRNO from the Electoral Commission, to make sure that they are not getting distracted by people and naysayers saying election is going to be called. You'd like me to move on from that? Because that's what I'm saying, Mr. Speaker. We have to enforce and encourage people to participate fully and do not get distracted by people who are trying to suggest that this is a flawed process. Huh? What I'm asking for, Mr. AG, is that on all sides of the House, particularly yours, because that side is the side with the power to do it, give the confirmation that will allay the fears of the people of Dominica, that no election is going to be called before the confirmation period is up. But if you would like, Mr. Speaker, I will move on from that.
Let's move on.
I'll move on from that. Mr.
Let's move
Speaker, for the confirmation period, right? A lot of people are going to require affidavits. A lot of people are going to require confirmation and verification of identities. One of the ways people are going to do that in their communities is by going to the Justice of Peace. To have the Justice of Peace sign off on a document and an affidavit confirming and verifying their identity. But in a number of communities, Mr. Speaker, getting to the Justice of Peace is a bit difficult, particularly in my community in Marigot. We have two at the time, and sometimes it's difficult to access them. Of course, the Justice of Peace is not sitting at their home waiting for you to come, right? In the period of time that we're going to require confirmation, we expect a lot of people to be trying to access those types of verification. And I think it would be necessary if we find a way to appoint more Justices of the Peace. To appoint more Justices of the Peace is going to ensure that lines are shorter, people are more accessible. We have people who also have issues with mobility. And if they have more people in their jurisdictions that can do those verifications for them and do it faster and allow them to participate in the process. So that is the recommendation. Let's see how we can ensure that we can appoint some more Justices of Peace, particularly in rural communities, so that people don't have to travel far, people don't have to travel long, and they don't have to get involved in long lines and so on, waiting just to have an affidavit or the ping pong picture sign. Right? That is something I think we can reasonably look at, particularly for communities in the rural district. On the financial burden that we are expecting this process to have, particularly in this economic season, where a number of our citizens face very hard economic times. One of the things I think, well, as a requirement, and Mr. Speaker, again, it is responsible for us, well, all of us in this house know, but we hear a lot of people talking and putting out misinformation. So the more people like us can put out the right information and ensure that people understand what the requirements are, so that people don't fall into the trap of disenfranchising themselves. We want to make sure that we pay attention to the information that is going out and pay attention to the legislation and just take some time and read the legislation. Yeah? And read the SRNO so that we empower our people to do the right thing, right? Mr. Speaker, people are going to need their birth people. I mean, since Mario, there are people who have lost everything and they do have their birth people. They lost a lot of their important documents. Yeah? And we know that the fees are going up. We know that the fee is what, $20 now? So, Mr. Speaker, what I'm recommending to assist our people, a suspension, you're right, but you read it minds, man. Mr. Speaker, for the period of confirmation, if we can suspend the fees for everybody of voting age, for the period of confirmation, suspend the fees for accessing the booth people. Mr. Speaker, that would make it so much more, that would ease the financial burden of people in and outside of Dominica who want to ensure that they can come and it would remove barriers. Well, everybody from outside that want to vote, they have to come home, right? But they must get the birth paper. What I'm suggesting, I'm recommending, Mr. Speaker, is that we suspend that. For the 12-month period, let's remove the fees and ensure that everybody of voting age has no excuses, they have no impediments, and we are enfranchising people, making sure that they can participate because, Mr. Speaker, we cannot deny that we're in a hard government season and things getting sticky all over the world. Our people want to make sure that they can participate in a right that they have to select their own government and to select their own representatives. And the more we can find ways to remove barriers to them in participating in that, I think as a responsible administration, we could do it. Mr. Speaker, you remember one of our last sittings, we had a conversation about wood on the street? We're not doing that again. Mr. Speaker, we know that in terms of facilitating people, that is what this recommendation is about. Not just facilitating one set of facilitating our friends. And Mr. Speaker, we can go as far as ensuring that people who have issues with mobility, that we can get the justice of peace to go to their homes. On our request, of course. And even if they want to access an updated ping pong photograph, some of our people who have mobility issues, they have an amputee in the hills of Marigot or in Wesley or in Woodford Hill or somewhere. She doesn't move around a lot. The last picture she had is outdated. She doesn't look that way anymore. We can facilitate them and get to those people and make it easy for them to participate, confirm their name on the register, help them to get their ping pong size photographs and the birth paper for free. The Justice of Peace walks up to her house and signs her affidavit. I think we shouldn't do it for one set, we should do it for all. Make it available for everybody who wants to participate and go ahead and do that. Right, Mr. Speaker? But we should do it for all. Senator, we should do it for all. We should do it for all. Mr. Speaker, finally, before I close, Mr. Speaker, I'm so happy that we have demonstrated the fact that it is not impossible for us to come and make amendments to laws that we just passed. It is not impossible for us to responsibly come back to the Parliament and make adjustments, make amendments to laws that we recently passed. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to also suggest that the remaining items, critical items in the electoral reform agenda that we did not have the chance to address in the March 19th sitting, that we take the time within this 12 to 15-month period to address them because we can make amendments, particularly those in the House of Assembly Elections Act. Issues talking about campaign finance reform, a thing that we've talked about a lot. Abuse of incumbency, cheating and bribery, and the clarity regarding those things. I still think we have the time and the capacity to come to this honorable House and to make the amendments and to ensure that we are engaging and demonstrating to the people of Dominica and to the wider world that we are really and seriously committed to true electoral reform, to ensure that the people who end up in this House reflect the voice and actions of the people of Dominica. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your attention and your time.
Yes, you recognize Honorable Charles, you'll go after.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to support the amendment. The reality is we would not have been here had it not been on the advice of the Electoral Commission. The Parliament did provide for a very smooth, efficient, transparent, and effective implementation of electoral reform, particularly with regards to the confirmation exercise and issuance of a voter ID card to every confirmed and registered voter in the Commonwealth of Dominica. It is on the request of the Commission that we're here. They have incited a number of reasons why they will not be ready for September 1 because the law provides for a declaration of the commencement, which the Commission has the authority in law to do, and which they did by SRO, I believe SRO 16. And they did that, and the commencement date for confirmation, Dominica, ought to be September 1 based on the SRO 16 of 2025 declared by the Commission. September 1 will be next week or the weekend, and they recognize that they will need some more time to start the process, the actual process of when you show up, you can confirm and get your biodata taken and to have your name confirmed. And so they gave some reasons to us by a letter addressed to us, Mr. Speaker, that they will need some more time. And so we have agreed to come to the Parliament to assist the Electoral Commission with doing this. So they identified, according to the Commission, I addressed the nation yesterday with my interaction with the press, and I did give the country that information, but we're in the Parliament, and I might just want to reiterate some of those points. According to the Commission, an adjustment to the confirmation period is necessary to allow for installation of critical equipment, modifications to the software specifications, amendments to the governing regulations, and the recruitment of employees required for the confirmation process. I wanted to say, Mr. Speaker, if you allow me, I should stress that I have been advised that equipment required for the confirmation process has been delivered to the Electoral Commission, and centers have been identified as the confirmation centers across Dominica. I believe that by the time they spoke to us, they had not located a confirmation center in Woodfordale, and my understanding is that they would have identified a building in Woodfordale that they could rent out to do that. Contract was signed yesterday. And I believe so now they have a complete covering of all 21 constituencies across Dominica. And the Commission is currently installing equipment and finalizing staffing arrangements. I believe, based on what they said to us, the contracts will be signed this week, going to next week, of all of the confirmation officers and the necessary staffing that they need to effect those amendments. And therefore, September will be used for training of staff and also a massive public education, which the law that was passed in Parliament on March 19 mandates the Commission to engage in public education and public sensitizations. And so these are the main reasons why we're here today. And therefore the Commission has indicated, that they propose to have the confirmation started or commenced on October 15. So we're given an additional 45 days or so that they can put their house in order and ensure that when you show up on October 15, you can start the confirmation process. And so these are the main reasons why we're here. On the issue raised by the Senator, Senator Paris, in respect to birth certificates and other likes and additional justices of the peace, that's something that we looked at to assist persons in getting the necessary documentation to get confirmed. But what I want to correct him on is, and he sought to give in a sort of a surreptitious manner, Mr. Speaker, the impression that there are people who are enjoying the free birth certificates, in his language. So I asked him to correct. It may not be your intention, but that is the impression that it should not be for some, it should be for all. But I would say that nobody in the country at this stage, as of today, is exposed to any waiver of any birth certificate fees in Dominica. This is something that we can look at and discuss and to see whether it is something that's efficacious to consider and to implement in that process. Now, on the issue of the Constitution, the Parliament cannot trump the Constitution. If the Parliament passes a law that is in violation of the Constitution, the AG will not allow this to happen because he has a mandate by the Constitution to ensure that the laws, and the President will not sign it, as a matter of fact, even if it was passed. cannot constrict the Constitution. And when you take an oath, you say that you have to take the oath without fear or favor, affection, or ill will. And therefore, no one can impose on the Constitution its right to act. And I don't think we should rely on rumors of elections. The only person under the Constitution since 1978 or 1978 Constitution who can call an election or not or decide the date of an election is the Prime Minister of the country. When the Constitution was passed, I was only 6 years old. So it is not a recent 2005 constitutional provision. While I take note of what is being said, but I do not believe that we can impose a law that appears to be superior to the Constitution, neither in theory or in practice. And therefore, let us separate the two. We have a duty to proceed with the confirmation process, and those who want to get confirmed, avail yourself to be confirmed, and let other matters be dealt with by themselves. So I don't think we can still let us pass a motion to contain the Prime Minister's constitutional, the provision of the Constitution to say that no elections can be called anytime. I will say to the member of the senator, that he may not be aware because he may be out of the loop in respect to the United Workers' Party, but 2 months ago, they ordered their song system for elections. So they have the song system denominator ready for an election, and I know that no, it's not true. It's true. I mean, it's about 14 pieces, and all of the tutors and all of the mixers and everything, and 2 laptops with it and so on. It's serious business. So yeah. And that candidates have been finalized. I'm not sure what's going to happen in Marigot, but candidates have been finalized. And paraphernalia are being designed and ordered. So Dr. Thompson Fountain, Senator, is ready for an election. I'm not sure. And he was recently asked on the radio program, "Are you ready for election?" He said, "I'm ready anytime." Anytime. So I'm not sure whether you are part of the Reform Party, the Jamaica Reform Party, and that you are representing that party. I don't know. But I also say to you that you may be out of the loop as far as the Workers' Party is concerned. So I want to share you that while you may be representing their interests in the Parliament, maybe, I say maybe, that they're ready for elections. Yeah, they're raising funds and they have the song system. I don't have song system yet. I don't know yet. But they have theirs, and it's all stored up and so big things happening. You didn't know that. So I think maybe you're the only one who is not interested in election anytime soon. but as far as the leader of the Workers' Party is concerned, man, they're ready. Everything's in place. About 3 months ago, seriously, it's serious song system, you know. I mean, you think ghetto songs and was adding is a joke. I mean, the leader of the opposition can provide equipment, song and lights equipment to the Creole Festival. That's how serious it is. But on the point of all of us being responsible, on a serious note, Mr. Speaker, on the point of us being responsible with what we say in this process is important. And this is why I want to urge the leader of the Workers' Party that he needs to join the serious people on this matter and not engage in what I believe and the public believe to be lies and misinformation and misrepresentation of facts. And I believe that at this stage, 6 months after the law was passed, that a responsible leader of a party would have read the act. And to have not read it and rely on what somebody says to you on social media to be your pronouncement is a dangerous thing. By that time, forget about your followers, you as the leader. Mr. Speaker, I have 2 copies of the one at home at the residence and one at my office. And from time to time I go there to cross-check. And so as of late as yesterday afternoon, I had a meeting with the Attorney General on some of the provisions of the Act. And so seeking clarification on this and asking questions on this. So it's an ongoing thing that I think that I want to urge the leader of the Workers' Party to spend this weekend to read the Act. And then he can be part of the serious process as being suggested there by the Senator Honorable Paris. So I think insofar as the resources, Mr. Speaker, because the Parliament did its part. That is to say, the Parliament came and passed the legislation. This is a comprehensive set of legislation which we believe will address the concerns that persons have raised over time. And we came back here a couple months after the passage of the legislation to pass a resolution to secure a loan from the National Bank of Dominica in the amount of $6 million to ensure that at all material times when resources are required by the Commission, that they're able to get the resources. So far, there are no complaints in respect to the provision of the financial resources to the Electoral Commission to effect its work. So we get the monies for the equipment, the hardware and the software. They ask for more monies for laptops, huge number of laptops, high cost. We provided that. They are employing confirmation officers. The government has also offered them public officers who will be seconded. So when they are seconded, Mr. Speaker, they will not be under the jurisdiction of the public service as we know it. They'll be under the jurisdiction of the Electoral Commission. So those persons will be seconded to provide additional support to the Commission. And it is people who would have been subjected to scrutiny, examination, questioning by the Electoral Commission. And the Electoral Commission having satisfied itself that they would want those persons to work with the Commission. That is when a request is made by the Commission to the government to say, we want the following employees to be engaged by the Commission. And therefore we are seeking the secondment to the Commission for a particular duration of time. And so they'll be removed completely under the jurisdiction of any permanent secretary or the Secretary of the Cabinet or the Financial Secretary as you may have it. And we provide support in that. And furniture, the resources for the furniture made available, and we want to ensure that they have everything they need for the smooth implementation of the electoral process. In respect to the confirmation exercise and persons with physical disabilities, the SRO that was approved and gazetted and published makes provision for people with disabilities and who may have mobility issues. So if you are sick and shortened, if you are a senior citizen, if you are a physically challenged individual, irrespective of your age, and you are unable to make it to the confirmation center, then you will be, the confirmation officers are mandated, not a choice. They are obligated to go to your home and to avail you of the opportunity to have your name confirmed on the voters list. I believe it's a very progressive movement by the Commission. And so they, in every step of the way, is to facilitate. Now, it is important that the Commission, Mr. Speaker, maintains the highest standards and ensure that everyone complies with the laws, and that at all material times they can know for a fact that that person who's been presented before them is who he or she is. And so I'm satisfied both the law, the parent law itself, the regulations, and the operational manual that they'll follow would ensure that these things happen. That there's full transparency, that the process can stand the test of scrutiny by any independent arbiter, any independent auditing of it. And that at the end of the day, we will have a list of persons who would like to remain on the voters list and avail themselves of their franchise, of the constitutional right to vote in Dominica's elections. And of course, for this to happen, all of us must play our part. We'll continue to play our part. There is a role for, if I were to give advice, there's a role for political parties to play. And so we all have to play our part in educating our people on the ground for what is required and how it's required, etc., etc. So I think this is just a simple amendment to push the actual commencement date from September 1 to October 15, 2025. And I think from there it is smooth sailing. It is absolutely smooth sailing. We've taken note, as I said, on this issue of additional justices of the peace. I believe that there are some applications before the Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs. For this, there's a process of due diligence done on this person. But if there is anyone in the country who would be interested in being a justice of the peace, I would suggest to you that you may want to write to the Minister for Legal Affairs and National Security and offer your services to the people and government of Dominica. And we'll be more than willing to consider your offering of your service in your respective communities. We recognize that in many communities we need more than 2 and more than 3 because of the nature of what people do. So we're open to this, as many as possible. So please write, you give your details of yourself so that there can be necessary due diligence and reaching out and advancing the process and so forth. So we take note of that and we're open to this. I think, Mr. Speaker, I would have covered some of the critical points I wanted to reiterate, that of which I shared at the press conference yesterday, but I think in the Parliament it is important for us to reiterate those points. I want to especially recognize the continued efforts and diligence of the Honourable Attorney General in this. It's been very crucial and critical in this process, and I want to thank him for his astuteness in this and providing support, and also in particular I want to recognize the Secretary of the Cabinet who's been superbly exceptional. Where's Darren? I'm trying to use some big words there. I'm trying to use some big words. I borrowed from Darren Lloyd, and the Federal Secretary who has been diligent in ensuring that the resources are transferred to the Commission, and of course the Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister who also provides support. Now, all of these people are playing just supportive role based on the request of the Commission. We're not involved in ourselves. We're very careful not to insert ourselves in any way. We're just there to ensure that the state provides the resources to the Commission, support to the Commission there, and of course we have given the Commission unfettered access to the ICT unit in the Ministry of Public Works so that they can provide them with some independent advice to look at what the suppliers would have submitted to them and to give them advice on how to be done. And they have given some very insightful and helpful advice on to how to make the system, both the hardware and the software, more responsive and to the needs of and to really be reflective of what the Commission really needs to effect the stuff. So it's a lot of work. It's a huge project, but it is something that we've embarked upon, and it's something that we all should continue to stay solidly in support of, and to ensure that we can successfully take it. But all I would caution us, finally, just to reiterate my caution, is that we cannot tie the Constitution to any law in the country, and seek to give the people an impression that the Constitution has been suspended. The provision of the Constitution has been suspended. And if anybody were to go and invoke the provision of the Constitution, then they'll be acting out of order. No. I think those who are seeking to tie it are acting out of order. And I think we'll also focus on the issue of confirmation and let the Constitution deal with its provisions when and how and where it's so desired. Just to say, Mr. Speaker, just to reiterate, that the opposition or the opposition UDLP is fully ready for election at any time. They did not say 2027, they did not say 2028. They say they're ready and the sound system is there. I think I'm not sure whether they've tried it yet, but it is in Dominica, and they're ready. They're buying some T-shirts and some caps. The only thing is that the 10 pillars now is 8. It moved from 10 to 8, and the way I see it, that by the time election are called, there'll be no pillars to stand on, Mr. Speaker, because the two main structural pillars have been set aside, and therefore all of the decorative pillars is of no structural consequence, and there's no benefit for Dominica, because if you take out the two structural pillars, Mr. Speaker, the house falls. You understand? And no one. I see the senator smiling and in a self-encouraging manner. I suspect this is why, Mr. Speaker. That's one coming too. That's one coming too. And he being an engineer, Mr. Speaker, recognizing that the two structural pillars have been dismantled, he ran away from the house. He ran away from the house, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much. Happy weekend.
Yes, Honorable Charles, I recognize you, but to Senator Paris, I mean, compared to a lot of members on the opposition side of the past, you have ramped up quickly and you're learning the rules, but I'm trying to guide you. You open up, that's why I was telling you, stay to the bill. Because you open up your flank for the Prime Minister to respond, so I cannot stop him. Because you open it up. That's why I'm trying to guide you. Yeah? Nice, so good. But at least you see why I didn't rule against him. Because you open it up. Proceed, Honorable Charles.
Morning, Mr. Speaker, and the members, colleagues to this Honorable House. I just want to add some contribution to this bill, an amendment for the extension to start the confirmation period. As Senator Paris and the Honorable Prime Minister said, this bill is very important to, as I said earlier, it's an ongoing process. So being here we were here in March, and to see that, I'd like to commend the Electoral Commission for asking for some extension to get this right, because we need to get this right. Although I win for that, I don't know, Mr. Paris wants some more time to gain some momentum in Maribor, but I know I can win. But this is an ongoing process, and I'd like to commend the Electoral Commission for asking for more time to get this right. But we need to get it right, because it has been an annoyance in the public. Electoral this, electoral that is fraud, is this. So we like to support this bill, this extension, because we need to get it right. And we need to make the public aware of what is actually going on. Don't listen too much of the naysay. Read the bill. Read the bill. It's not too long. As the Prime Minister said, you have one in the office, one at his home. Just read the bill. It's simple. As leaders, as PAL rep, as party leaders, people in the public figures, don't mislead the people, because the barefoot man will take it and run. So we need to just commend the Electoral Commission on this, the AG General, and they say the CAPSEC. We need to get it right, start the process, and I'll talk about the Constitution. If the Prime Minister get up tomorrow, feel to call the election. Then hold on and win Maribor already. So I know he can call it tomorrow, he can call it whenever. He call it the Constitution. So rest assured, nobody should be worrying about when election called. We don't need to start this. We don't need to start this. So when this is started, any help you need in Maribor, Mr. AG, you can call on me, send a message, let me know. I always work with Mr. Riviere. He's a Justice of Peace, you know that, Mr. Paris? Yes, sir. Yes, and we have Mr. Dayton walking with his stamp and everything in his pocket. He always have it. He always have it on him. So everybody know the easiest person to get in Maribor is Mr. Baptiste when he comes to this. He always walk with it. If you don't get him, you can call me, I'll find him for you, I'll bring him to you, up to your house. So this process is already started in Margot. So we know where to find people. We know everybody by the name, number, face. So we know to find you. If you're not able, we'll come and meet you. I'll pick up Mr. Baptist, bring him there, bring you to register. It's a simple thing. So we're going to get it right, start this process, and whenever election call, I'll still win in Margot anyway. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Call the Speaker. To me, the Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, sorry, I rise to make a very short intervention, for want of a better word. I was not inclined to say anything because to me, the Prime Minister said everything on this very simple measure this morning, except to say, Mr. Speaker, is that when you eat the bread of misinformation, it is very likely that the direction you take thereafter will be determined by that misinformation for which you have been pushing. And because the contribution from Senator Parrish from the initial standpoint of his presentation bordered endlessly on irrelevance. But that notwithstanding, Mr. Speaker, he was allowed to make his contribution, which demonstrates the freedom of speech in the highest body in this land. But, Mr. Speaker, it is, to me, paradoxical, Mr. Speaker, that during your campaign against the measures that have been approved by Parliament, you claim that the confirmation process that was being proposed in the proposed measures would not ensure, once, the cleansing of the list, two, that the process would not really sanitize the people who were making themselves present to reconfirm. Now, I'm listening to the vibes, Mr. Speaker, coming from the other side, is that this is now being said, and a certain element of that rhetoric, Mr. Speaker, was contained in his presentation this morning, Senator Parrish, is that why make it more difficult for people wishing to confirm the name on the list as opposed to those who are registered for the first time? Can you imagine that? So they're now trying to set aside the requirement as contained in the regulation, Section 8, subsection 5, which speaks to the identification requirement for one, a bona fide, naturally born Dominican, and then a citizen of the Commonwealth. All right? Now, Mr. Speaker, which makes one requirement a passport. A passport. No, they want now to set aside the passport requirement in the confirmation process and leave the onus on the enrollment officer to determine in certain circumstances. Do you see the hypocrisy and the paradoxical approach? Because they have gotten themselves in a feeble stage, Mr. Speaker, on that whole exercise. What is happening this morning, Mr. Speaker, as you heard from the Prime Minister and the Attorney General, is a very simple process. The Constitution, Section 41, gives Parliament the responsibility to make laws for the for peace and order and the good governance of this country. Section 41 of the Constitution. And that is precisely what we are trying to do this morning. I think the government has to be commended for ensuring that the resources have been provided to the Commission to ensure that we have a seamless process in the confirmation process. So therefore, it is not us on this side who was actually forcing the process. The commission is saying, before we make a declaration, which of course, as per the current measure that has been approved by this parliament, the commission only has the space and the latitude to allot, firstly, 12 months and an additional to make it 15 months. That's all they can do. So, because as we heard from the Prime Minister, they're going to require more time. They're asking for that extra time. It's as simple as that. What you could have done is simply have done like the Member of Parliament from Marigot and say, I support the thing. Now I heard a declaration has been made for the leader of the opposition party. And in the Workers' Party, really and truly, I've never seen a bifurcation that is so clear. It is bifurcated into two, split them into two, bifurcated. You have one section, and Fountain, Dr. Fountain, the other section. Now, I don't expect, really, expect Dr. Fountain to read any bill, Mr. Prime Minister. Any man who is spending his time proposing to different women at the same time doesn't have any time to read anything. Proposing to different women at the same time. What time are you going to have?
Honorable member, stay focused on the bill.
I'm focused. Yeah.
Stay focused on the bill.
No, I'm saying, my apologies, I take it back. And plus, you have to concentrate on the campaign. And Mr. Speaker, I'm going to make that point. And I really take that back, But I'm talking about if you're so engaged in other things, you're not going to read anything. Because the man is a philosopher. But Mr. Speaker, I cannot understand that you oppose something so much, and now that the measure is in place, you want to water down the process. Water down the process for the identification requirement, for the confirmation process. And that is the hypocrisy, and you know that. And that is the hypocrisy that I cannot stand. And we must stop it. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this measure. I think it's a demonstration of democracy at the highest level. And all we should have done this morning is to stand up and support this bill. I don't want to do that this morning, but I wanted to make that sort of intervention. And I want to also commend the Attorney General and his team who have been involved in the process of ensuring that electoral reform is there. You say you wanted it, but it's there. You must slip with it, and not only slip by it, but hug it. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Henderson, you may proceed. You are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand in support of the amendment before us to the Registration of Electors Act number 1 of 2025. I am also hoping that I can, perhaps for the first time, speak and make one point and sit quietly. Mr. Speaker, what we are seeking to do here today may seem simple, a 45-day delay for the effective date of the process of confirmation and registration through the new or recently passed Registration of Electors Act. But I think it is also a testament of the commitment of the Dominican Labour Party government to ensure that we see the modernization of our electoral process to the end, and to be done in a manner that is conducted orderly, fairly, equitably, and ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to participate in this very fundamental process, the right to vote. After the legislation was passed, was adopted by the Parliament, we subsequently returned to the Parliament to seek authorization for the financing of this process. A very expensive undertaking, and democracy itself is a very expensive undertaking. And that was done to ensure that all the resources were made available to the Electoral Commission, to ensure that all of us who have the right to exercise our franchise can take advantage of that opportunity. But today we are here on the request of the Commission. It would have been nice to see them here, but on their request, we have extended that date to ensure that everything is in place. Because what you would not want, and I think it happened in one of the sister islands recently when they undertook a similar process, is on day one you have a glitch. That you start the process and you have a false start. And people lose confidence in the process. It is better to take the time, ensure that everything is in place, and I want to thank the Commission and the Chief Elections Officer, the Secretary of the Cabinet, and all the staff of the Ministry of course, the Attorney General and the AG's Office, Minister of Legal Affairs, who have been involved in the process, and I know the Financial Secretary has been working closely with them as well to ensure that for the first time, the authorization that the Parliament gave to give them some independence in managing their resources, that is being done effectively. But we have to ensure that this is a new system, highly computerized, specialized equipment for the process of confirmation, registration, validation. I understood that we must have reliable internet service, and that to ensure that it is done properly, there is redundancy, so that you should have 2 lines of each telecoms provider to ensure, and that is something I heard Prime Minister was speaking a little earlier, and Mr. Speaker, you will permit me because the gate has been opened, that when we run our campaigns, we always ensure we have 2 lines. So in addition to the music system, maybe they can check Starlink or something. But Mr. Speaker, we have to ensure that this system is reliable. It doesn't fail. It never fails because, you know, it has to be, the integrity of it should never be questioned. And the fact that they need more time, the Commission needs more time. We have to deal with logistics. You have to deal with getting equipment on island, making sure people are trained, because the other thing you don't want is somebody who is managing this thing is not aware of how to do something and the whole thing falls apart. Any mistake could undermine the integrity of this electoral process, and we must ensure that everything is done that is possible to maintain that integrity. So, Prime Minister, thank you for bringing this amendment to the Parliament. A very simple, but to my mind, very profound action, and I support the measure, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We've heard a number of contributions, as has been spelled out quite clearly. The amendment is a straightforward amendment, but it is an essential amendment for the purpose of ensuring that we comply with the law and that we do all we can to immunize the whole process from the type of squabbles that have occurred over the past years. We know that at past elections, people have used minor deficiencies, if I can put it that way, to seek to even injunct the election. I mean, what we don't want is for this process to be unduly delayed any further. So by coming to Parliament and ensuring that the the Commission has the legislative underpinning and authority to extend the period in the way that is proposed will insulate the process from this type of unwarranted interventions that frequently occur in our history. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't think there's any point in me extending the time that we're here. I'm glad to see that I think the members on the opposition side of the House are in full support. I don't know if we need a division. I'm looking across, but I'm not at any particular member on the other side, Mr. Speaker, but I commend the bill to the House.
This concludes the debate. It has been moved and seconded that the bill shortly entitled Registration of Electors Amendment Act 2025 be read a second time. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. The bill will be now read a second time.
Registration of Electors Amendment Act 2025.
The bill will now stand committed to a committee of the whole House to be considered clause by clause. The question is that House resumes, and the question is that I do report the bill as amended to the House. I have to report that the bill shortly entitled Registration of Electors Amendment Act 2025 passed the committee stage with minor amendments. Those in favor? Sorry, the question is that I report the report of the committee on the bill be adopted. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. AG.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the bill shortly entitled Registration of Electors Amendment Act 2025 be read a third time and passed.
Seconded, Mr. Speaker.
You see it? Seconded?
Seconded, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, nice, nice. You cannot lose energy, you know, it's a short session. It has been moved and seconded that the bill shortly entitled Registration of Electors Amendment Act 2025 be read a third time and passed. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Registration of Electors Amendment Act 2025.
The bill has been read a third time and passed accordingly.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House be adjourned sine die.
Seconded, Mr. Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that the House be adjourned sine die. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. House is adjourned sine die.